Well, good afternoon, committee members of Development Property. Welcome to our committee meeting this afternoon of March 8th, 2022. I will call this meeting to order. First of all, I just want to advise that Chair Sweet is unable to join us this afternoon, so I will be taking his place, and probably not quite as eloquent and not quite as knowledgeable, but we will certainly get through this together. So I'll call this meeting to order, and as we gather, we would like to acknowledge on behalf of Council and our community that we are meeting on the traditional territory of the Algonquin people. We would like to thank the Algonquin people and express our respect and support for their rich history, and we are extremely grateful for their many and continued displays of friendship. We also thank all the generations of people who have taken care of this land for thousands of years. With that, we'll move on to item number 3. Evelyn, has roll call been taken?
Yes, and we have quorum. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Item number 4 is the disclosure of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof. So does any member wish to disclose any pecuniary interest on any of the matters that are before us this afternoon? Seeing none, then we'll move on to item number 5, the adoption of the minutes of the previous meeting of February the 8th. They were distributed and are attached in your package. Are there any errors or omissions to these minutes? Seeing none, I'll look for a motion to accept them, please. I need a mover and a seconder. Peter and Sheldon, thank you very much. All in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. We do not have any delegations at this point in time, so we'll move on to reports, beginning with 7A, the department report, and I will turn this over to Craig, please.
Thank you. Today, Chair Regier, nice to see you all once again, and welcome to February. Welcome to March. Sorry. So I have a very short report, but it's a very telling. I'll be back later to talk about some other initiatives we have going on in other departments. But again, we are copied on these residential statistics, sales statistics on a regular basis. So always interesting to bring it to this committee as we deal with development of subdivisions and now housing units. Again, looking at the totals, there's only 100 and some available units or 200 available units, very few new listings overall, considering the size of our county. But more telling is the year-over-year pricing. So if we look at some of the values, we've gone from the 5-year average of $315,000 up to the average sale price in 2022 thus far at $491,000. So I mean, the market is changing drastically, and while people selling are definitely benefiting and striking it, I guess, Rich, if you want to use those terms that I saw a realtor use recently, it's leaving people behind. And the starter homes of the past are now incredibly expensive. So again, this is just a tale of the tape, and happy to bring this forward on a regular basis and keep you informed. So again, my report is very short, Chair, and I'll turn it back to you.
Thank you very much. Anybody have anything to add to Craig's report today? Okay, thank you very much, Craig. Seeing that, we'll move on to item number B, the Economic Development Division report. And I'll turn this over to Alistair. Thank you, Alistair.
Thanks, Chair Rieger. Good afternoon, everybody. ECDev report is page 6, and we do have a 4th item as an addendum that you would only have received, I believe, last night. But start with information item 1 about Taste of the Valley. So this series of events looks like we will be, with the way things are going, be live again this year. 6 events across the county where the municipalities and a host organization have come together, as is required, to work with us and host one. And anyway, it's good to be getting back to normal. We're very excited. We know the vendors are very anxious for opportunities to sell more product locally, and these events also attract in a lot of visitors from outside the county. So great local economic development and business development activities. Item 2 is along the same vein, really. It's Open Farm Day. So it might be a new expression. I shouldn't, but I'll reference back to the rural ramble that we used to do here in the county. But this is a bit different, and they want to differentiate it with that Open Farm Day, which is a name being used across North America, I think in Europe as well. So led by local farmers and producers, it's planned for Sunday. So Sunday, one day only on September 18th this fall. And we expect, West Quebec, Eastern Ontario visitors. The idea is to showcase our local farms. People can visit the farms and learn how food is produced and sample and buy local products as well. So stay tuned for that one. Exciting news in Arnprior. There's a new manufacturer, and they own and are occupying now and producing in called the old Sandvik building in the Sullivan Industrial Park. Very exciting. Dave Wybu and I, the business development officer, toured the plant recently with the owner-operators, learned a bit more about what they're producing and saw some of their work. And we just today received photos of a finished product of their model resort community home. So it's a mobile home, essentially gets trailered to site and then essentially is put on footings or piles for a semi-permanent display and hook up to services as well, water and wastewater. They also are manufacturing structural panels. So if you've seen any new buildings lately, institutional, residential, multi-story, multi-unit, these would be essentially floor and wall panels and or steel floor joists. And the panels are hoisted up by a crane, screwed, bolted into place, pre-cut window openings, pre-cut door openings for the exterior and the interior. So very exciting. Interesting thing in Arnprior is a building being put up by Tom Orr and his son is being built with the competing product, which comes out of Toronto. So it's kind of exciting to see the products in the old Sandvik building, and then to drive back downtown and see the competing product going up on a structure in Arnprior right now in a multi-unit residential building. The resort homes, we've already linked them up to a couple of local resort camp operators as far as potential buyers for these cottage homes, the Summerhill Group. I can move, Chair, to addendum item, which is number 4. It's regarding Canadian Nuclear Laboratories and a petition requirement. And I have a recommendation here, Chair, and the background. Would you like me to skim through the background?
I think if it's okay, Alistair, I think what I'll do, I'll come back. We'll come back to items 1, 2, and 3 before we move on, if that's okay. Thank you very much. So we'll come back to item number 1, the Taste of the Valley. Any comments? Questions? Very exciting to have that come back again. That was certainly missed throughout the entire county for those past couple of years. So very exciting. Thank you. Item number 2, the Open Farm Day of Renfrew County. Any comments? Seeing, Jed, please.
Thank you, Chair. Through you to Chair, or through you to Alistair. Have you got any indication yet, Alistair, as to how many farms or places are going to be included, or is this a little bit too early to tell yet?
It's a little too early. This is come through our Renfrew County Agricultural Economic Development Committee and the Ag Leadership Groups. So it's some of those members leading it. And they're also associated with the Ottawa Valley Food Cooperative. So it's a good collection of producers, many of them already oriented at selling directly, which will be a big part of this. But yeah, we will keep committee informed, of course, as it develops.
Okay, thank you.
I would, sorry if I can add, I would expect a few dozen at least in the first year.
Perfect.
Very good. Thank you. Anything else on item number 2? We'll move on then to item number 3, the new manufacturer in Arnprior. Very good news. Yes, Dan.
Thank you, Chair. To Alistair, just a point of interest, the finished product or the first all season. They estimate the cost is going to be $150,000. Just if you need a cottage, $150K pre-built. All you have to do is put it on the stands. And we've talked to those people to say, have they talked to David Watson over at Tridonics, because they've got the Tundra base, we'll call it. So if you go on to, like, for the floodplains, you can raise and lower your house with these modular footings, we'll call them. So it'd be to be a joint venture, and I guess they're talking. That's all I can tell you. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Okay, so that ends those. So then, Alistair, if we can proceed then with the addendum item number 4, please.
Thanks, Chair. And the background is Mayor Sue Dion of Deep River is requesting a signature from our warden, County Warden Debbie Robinson, on a petition. And the petition is one of a number of approaches that are being made to the approval of the licensing renewal for the Chalk River Laboratories of Canadian Nuclear Laboratories, and specifically to enable the near surface disposal facility to be built on that licensed site. So the mayor is seeking up to 10 signatures for a petition that has special weight with the Canadian Nuclear Safety Commission, the regulator for all things nuclear in Canada. It's a very rigid process. This is one of the steps. And as committee may recall, County of Renfrew has already decided to be an intervener in favor of Canadian Nuclear Laboratories and the NSDF project. This is, if you will, another step where local support can be rallied in support of it. So the Mayor Dion is seeking the enforcement representing the.
Oh, Alistair, you are on mute.
Sorry.
Okay.
Wishful thinking by some of you probably. So anyway, we all know CRL is vitally important. 2,700 employees, high-paying jobs, long life here, and just about the NSDF. Again, to repeat, an engineered waste management site to host low-level waste, and a lot of it will be from the demolition waste from the site, but they will be receiving off-site material, low-level, from hospitals, institutions, universities, and industry. So just the recommendation, Chair, is recommendation that the Development Property Committee recommend to County Council that the warden sign a petition to the Canadian Nuclear Safety Commission in collaboration with the town of Deep River in their support of the near surface disposal facility, the NSDF. That's item 4, Chair.
Thank you very much, Alistair. We see the recommendation before us. I'll therefore request a mover and a seconder, please, for the recommendation. Peter and Dan, any discussion or concerns? Dan, please. And then
Thank you, Chair. To Alistair, when it comes to county, can we ensure that we have a recorded vote? So I'm assuming it'll be unanimous, but it gives that much more clout to it when everyone's on board. Thank you.
Thank you. Very good point. Jed, please. Well, I'm sorry.
No,
Oh,
no, sorry, Chair, go to elected first.
okay. I'm sorry. Jed, please.
Thank you, Chair. I was just wondering if other people sitting on council here or mayors within the county of Renfrew have been approached by Mayor Dion. I have been approached, and I'd said that I'd be more than happy to support this program because of being in close proximity. But I think, Dan, you sit on the environmental stewardship team, if I'm not mistaken. I was just wondering if she's reached out to you, because I think she was looking for 10 signatures. I know she was looking for the warden, but there's also, I think there's other mayors that have interest in it also. Thank you.
Jed, please. I'm sorry, Dan. Dan.
Jed has hair, unlike Sheldon and I, and Peter. Alistair, now I look at you. Yeah, we have a meeting on the 24th of March. at the Best Western. So I'm assuming that's when she's going to ask us, but I've yet to receive anything to bring to council, which would be next Monday. Maybe I'll give her a call. Thank you.
Thank you. CEO Paul, please.
Thank you, Chair, and through you to Councillor Lynch with respect to the recorded vote. The recorded vote would have to be asked for by a member of council at that time. So unfortunately, it's not something that staff can ensure. So a member of council will have to make a point of asking for that recorded vote, sir. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Any other further comments or discussions? Seeing none, then I will call for the vote. All those in favor? That is carried. Thank you very much. And that should complete that portion. So we'll move on next to the OVTA, please, Alistair.
Thanks, Chair. So page 8 is the Ottawa Valley Tourist Association report. For information, it's a save the date, and it is the annual general meeting of the OVTA. It will be Tuesday, April 26, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m., which we're trying to avoid, of course, committee meetings. It will be via Zoom, so easy to attend, and committee and full county council will see the program and registration information in the coming weeks. So we'd really like you just to save the date, Tuesday, April 26, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Item 2 is about the it's award season, Ottawa Valley Tourism Awards. It's a great program where we recognize the individual tourism champion, a tourism business of distinction, and a special event that all deserve recognition. We do encourage municipalities to seek out nominations from their municipality, events, people, businesses who are involved in tourism and could be considered leaders or innovators. And we have until April 1st, Friday, April Fool's Day, to submit nominations. And we'll hear the winners at the AGM on April 26th. Item 3 is a really follow-up from some discussions at the DNP and County Council from a couple of years gone by about the tourism-oriented directional signage program of the province of Ontario. And councillors might recall a couple of years ago, rate increases that were very substantial were proposed. And there was a lot of requests from businesses to County Council directly, and of course to the OVTA for intervention and assistance. And things went a little quiet with COVID, of course, on this front, but it's coming back to the fore. And OVTA did a survey, and it's attached for your information, of our tourism business operators about the TODS program. Are people using it? How many? What do they think of it? How long have they been in it? And what's their sense of what they will do with the higher amounts, the higher rates being charged? So that's attached for your information. And the other interesting thing are from the survey, we asked for comments, and at the final pages on page 16 and 17, the additional comments are also quite revealing and help us understand. So presently, this is just for information of committee, and it'll of course be up at County Council as well. Chair, that is the OVTA report.
Thank you very much, Alistair. So coming back to item number 1, the OVTA general meeting, any comments or concerns? Seeing none. Item number 2, the Ottawa Valley Tourism Awards. And item number 3, the tourism-oriented directional signage. Craig, please.
Sorry, and Alistair and I just haven't connected on this. So through you, Chair, to committee, just as an FYI at operations this morning for those that weren't in operations, and there's a couple on this committee. At operations this morning, they discussed the county sign program, which is very similar to the county tourism sign program that's referenced here. And the resolution that came out of that meeting was to forego county fees for 2022, but it started the fee initiation back in 2023. And a further recommendation that a letter be sent to the appropriate minister and ministries that they forego the Todd signs fees for the same year in keeping with that. So that recommendation is following operations to county council at the end of the month. So just wanted to provide an update from this morning. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Okay, anything else? Oh, Peter, please.
Thank you. The comments were quite revealing. I think the fourth last bullet point or fifth last bullet point about the timelines or time lag, it's probably something we could ask the warden to bring to the minister's attention if and when she's in a meeting with the minister, or at a delegation from one of our other chairs, because it seems unusual that it would take a longer time. And then also the 3-year replacement, the 3-year replacement idea, whether it looks like whether it needs to be or not, seems a bit onerous as well.
Thank you for that. Okay. Very good. Anything else? Seeing none, then we'll move on. Alistair, please, to Enterprise Renfrew County report.
Thanks, Chair. Page 18 has the ERC Enterprise Renfrew County report and just the staffing update. So last month we revealed that Kim Fraser, our other staff person there, has resigned, and Miss Colleen Sadler, our business consultant, has announced her retirement. So essentially she'll be working till the end of next week, and then Colleen will be gone. So we've been working where economic development staff have been taking on the duties, assuming duties and responsibilities as best we can, and carrying on. And we have started the search for a replacement for business consultant role, Colleen Sadler. That's just an update for committee. And so far, our key programs of Summer Company and Starter Company Plus, we are running sort of along on track, and we are continuing the business consultations, which are the, if you will, the core duty of the center for just any business seeking advice and information. We consult with them and help provide them with such. Item 2 is about Summer Company, and it's the launch media release, and it's attached as the appendix. And so we're now recruiting student entrepreneurs for the Summer Company program for 2022. So we have up to 5 spaces. We really do hope to fill them. It's sometimes quite difficult to pull young people into this program, but we'll be doing our best at recruiting. Item 3 is regarding a bylaw required for a transfer payment agreement, a TPA. And this is sort of an annual event for working with the province of Ontario, which is our major funder. And Chair, there's a recommendation that the Development and Property Committee recommend the County Council pass a bylaw to enter into a transfer payment agreement with the province of Ontario for financial and program support of Enterprise Renfrew County, provided the terms of the 2022-2023 agreement maintain the integrity and commitments of previous TPAs. We're supporting ERC, of course. So just that this is the normal course of business with the province, chair and committee, and we're just seeking approval for the signing of that transfer payment agreement when it's received, and we've not received it yet.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll move back to item 1 first, please. And that is the staffing update. Any comments? Just congratulations to Colleen on her retirement. Yes, Craig, thank you.
Sorry, I'm trying to find my camera button. And through you, Chair. So I just wanted to publicly, as the director, to say thank you to both Kim and Colleen. I think I did last month to Kim, but just publicly to Colleen after 20 years. I think there's, gosh, I wish we could count the number of businesses that she touched in one format or another and assisted entrepreneurs through the very arduous task of starting a business and sustaining that business and growing it. So it's no easy task to be a business consultant and offer your support on an ongoing basis through turbulent times like we've had over the last few years, but they've done very well. And again, wanted to congratulate both on a successful career and wish them well in the future.
Thank you. Any other comments? Item number 2, the summer company launch media release, please. Any comments? Seeing none, then we will move on to the recommendation. You did see, Craig did read out the recommendation. I'm looking for a mover and a seconder, please. Dan and Peter. Any discussion or comments? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? That is carried. Thank you very much.
Thanks, committee.
Thank you very much, Alistair. So we will move on now to the Forestry and GIS Division. Jason, please.
Thank you, Chair, and good afternoon, committee. Like Alistair, I do have an addendum to my report, which you received yesterday or late yesterday. We'll try and formalize that a little better later on as the ATAC committee meets more regularly. So item number 1 for information, the County Forester continues to support the Algonquin College. And in this situation, she supported the Algonquin College's forestry job seeker program, where she introduced some of the college students to our County Renfrew Beachburg tract, where she highlighted some of the things that county foresters do as potential jobs in the future. And we all know that the forest industry will be and is facing some worker shortages. So we need to do this outreach and education when and where we can. Item 1B is another request for Lacey's support, and this time from the Ontario Chamber of Commerce. They requested Lacey's support to moderate a virtual panel, and this time the topic was sustainable innovation in Ontario's natural resource sector. So kudos to Lacey, and we realize how important she is at our end, but not only our end, but also within the province, and especially this time for the Ontario Chamber of Commerce. Item number 1C is an update on the potential of the 2022 gypsy moth, formerly gypsy moth, formerly LDD moth, now officially called the spongy moth. As you see in your committee package on pages 25 to 30 that the province released, the expectation for 2022, it will not be a good year again for the spongy moth outbreak and defoliation of the trees. So please take this back to your municipalities and share when and where you can. Right now, the County of Renfrew staff for county forests are the county forestry tracts. We do not plan on spraying for this. It's a wait and see method for us to see how this goes. Or we're still hoping for good results over the winter time in predation and things like that. But have the expectation that could be another bad year. Moving on to page 24 of your committee package is a GIS update. So we mentioned this to committee that staff was going to prepare a presentation to local municipalities. That did occur on February the 16th, where it was a rather fulsome presentation to municipal staff about the County of Renfrew GIS or mapping services. You have that in your committee package, and it's a rather lengthy one, pages 31 to 42. We just wanted to highlight what the County of Renfrew can offer, what the projects we've worked on in the past, and possibly the future. So you see that in your committee package. This kind of leads into, as you see in your committee report, we're anticipating to have a business case to move forward. Again, this is depending on the funding opportunities and after the County of Renfrew's digital strategy review that will be coming shortly to committee and county council. So Chair, maybe I'll stop here before I go to the addendum and before I move on. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. Okay, we'll move back to item number 1A, the forestry activities. Any comments? Item number 1B, the county forester. Item number 1C. I see no comments. And then item number 2, the GIS activities. Seeing none, very good. Thank you very much. Then I'll turn it back over to you, Jason, please, for the addendums and the resolutions, please.
Thank you, Chair. And going on to the addendum on page 4 of your committee package, Item number 3 is just an update to this committee that the federal government did release another round of funding, this time through the Infrastructure Canada Active Transportation Fund. As always, the county staff will apply for this fund. We'll try and maximize the amount, what the amount will be. We're still going to review the total application. And we will be applying for a section northwest of Wiley Road in Laurentian Hills going towards Head Clare Mariah to complete that section of around 30 to 40 kilometers. And again, our typical build and typical ask for these grant applications are to improve for aggregate brushing and grading and things like that along the trail. So that's item number 3 for information. Under resolution, Chair, it's an acquisition support for CP. So what I'll do is what I usually do, I'll read the recommendation and provide some background if I could. That the Development and Property Committee recommend to County Council that the warden send a letter to the Honorable Greg Rickford, Minister of Northern Developed Mines, Natural Resources and Forestry, requesting that the province's registry office permit the use of compiled plans instead of the very costly surveys to transfer the remaining Canadian Pacific CP lands running through Crown land to the County of Renfrew and the Township of Papineau-Cameron. And further that, a copy of this letter be sent to MPP John Yakubuski, Renfrew, Nipissing, Pembroke, and MPP Vic Fideli, Nipissing Riding. So hopefully you'll notice that I did add 2 words to that recommendation. You'll see, I'll kind of go back to that recommendation if I can, Chair. So I did add after the province's registry, I added the word office and to, just to provide clarity to that resolution. So as a background, CP has been dealing with and working with registry office staff to provide an information package that will allow the transfers of lands from CP to the County of Renfrew and Papineau-Cameron. However, this has been going on since 2019. Yes, we can account for COVID restrictions and COVID issues and staffing changes. We're at a point now where this delay is impacting the County of Renfrew from complete ownership of this trail. So this is why we're asking the support, or the warden will be sending this letter to support CP's request to provide clear direction to CP and allowing the compiled plans to for the transfers of these properties. So I'll leave it at that, Chair, and maybe leave it there for any questions and concerns.
Thank you very much. So we do see the recommendation. Before I ask for a mover and a seconder, is there any questions? Jed and then Peter, please.
Thank you, Chair. Through you to Jason. Jason, is there any, do you see any risks in doing it in this fashion? I know this has been in place for 100 years probably, and I was just wondering if there's anything there that, that could cause us any problems or concerns. Thank you.
If I may, Chair, through you to Councillor, there's always a concern when we force or ask the question of this, but it's been 2019 since we initiated, or since CP has initiated this. We need to know the answer to move this file along. If nothing happens now, these lands will never be transferred or may never be transferred to the County of Renfrew. And I know there's pressure from Mr. Foss to have this done. And we're still working with the staff at the staff level. We have a good relationship. I think this could just help us move this file along if we could do this. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Peter?
And I guess just was wondering if it makes sense to suggest to the minister that they, set up a task force, or at least one person who's designated as the one window with the registry office. Because my impression is that this isn't dealt with at the local level. It's at another office. And when things go to other offices, the further they are away from the center, sometimes things take a little longer. So it might be worthwhile for us to suggest that a point person, whether in the minister's office or slightly below the minister, have some responsibility for this. And at the very minimum, it should frighten them into suggesting those in the lower ranks move faster. But anyway, because nobody likes to have responsibility.
Thank you. Paul, please.
I just wanted clarification of Councillor Reinwald's question. Sir, were you asking the risk around compiled plans versus a survey in your question, or was it just about our approach with the province, as with Jason? I wasn't clear on your question, sir.
Through you, Chair, to Paul.
Yes, thank you.
My concern was more around the survey. I know when you transfer parcels of land, usually there's a survey required, but not always, depending on the size of the parcel of land. And this is a long linear strip of land. It's still land, and there's still lots of acreage. So I was just wondering if there should not be any concerns, because it's been in place for 100 years plus, and nothing has moved or nothing has changed other than the rails have been removed. So that was the main question that I had there with the survey. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So we did hear the recommendation. So I am looking for a mover and a seconder, please, on the recommendation.
Here, Jason had another word.
Pardon me?
Jason has his hand up, ma'am.
Oh, I'm sorry. Jason.
Sorry, and I do apologize to interrupt, and I thank my CAO for the clarity, and I did not read into your question, Councillor, so I apologize for that. So when we talk about compiled plans, what we have and what the proposal is going to be, CP has drawings already of the total length and breadth of what they own. And what we're planning on doing with these compiled plans, even though that there's not going to be a survey bar necessarily on the ground, it will show the dimensions, the meets and bounds description, but not planted surveys. So it's a desktop exercise of the data they already have. And that's why there's that cost savings of at least $400,000 based on the first quote we received. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Okay, so Peter, I'm still looking for a mover and a seconder. I'm just not sure if we're still in questions or not.
Just a quick question.
Certainly.
My impression is that the lands that we're talking about, for the most part, run through Crown land and they don't butt up against patent land. Is that fair to note that?
If I may, Chair, through you to the councillor. So the majority of lands that were already in private lands or in CP's name have been transferred to the county already. So we're dealing with the majority of these lands. There are some third party issues, but the majority of lands in this northern section are Crown lands, period. Thank you.
Thank you. Dan, please.
Thank you, Chair. Just had the vision when you mentioned Crown lands mean native lands as well. Do we have to have a signature from them as well, going through the different parts of their lands? That I know it's something new.
Jason?
If I may, Chair, through you to the councillor. So these lands are not considered, they're considered private until otherwise noted. Also, the agreement in principle lands do not highlight these lands. Some of the agreement in principle lands do abut this corridor, and they recognize that. The Algonquins recognize this, and they want to use or maybe help support the Algonquin Trail to access these lands. So right now, the direct answer is no, we don't have to do this in the sense of the transfer of lands. That's working with CP and the registry office. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Okay, so we have heard the recommendation. I'm therefore looking for a mover and a seconder, please. Peter and Warden Robinson, any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you very much. And on to the next resolution, please, Jason.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. So on page 5 of your addendum, and again, this is the bylaw, and it's bylaw 119-18 to regulate and govern the use of the Algonquin Trail. And the recommendation is that the Development and Property Committee recommend that County Council amend bylaw 119-18, being a bylaw to regulate and govern the use of the lands known as the Algonquin Trail, formerly known as the CP Rail Corridor, as a linear park to be consistent with County of Lanark's closing date for the all-terrain or ATV season of November 30th to include the schedule of fees. So a background, this is a bit of a housekeeping item for this bylaw. Again, what we're doing is to make sure that the ATV dates are consistent across both parties and eventually through to Papineau Cameron. And also, and you'll see this on pages 6 to 15, the actual bylaw. If you have some time and latitude, on page 8, you'll notice the new date that we're talking about. Also, we've added wording within that same schedule to allow the possibility through the approval of the Director of Development and Property to modify these dates if there's a necessity due to the climate. If there's a dry spell or a wet spell, we can adjust it without coming back to this committee and county council to modify this bylaw. So it gives us some flexibility. And also, if you look at pages 11 and 12, this is where we're including fees, a schedule of fees for any penalties associated for this trail. What you'll see in the Schedule A are the fees that we're talking about. This will help deter people from misusing the trail. We're working with the manager of POA, Ashley Wilton, to go through this process, but we need to have this in place. We've talked to the local OPP detachments, and they requested to have this schedule of fee in place. We do have to work through a bit of a process internally to get this done, but once it's done, they'll be enforceable by the OPP, and this will hopefully deter some of these users that we're having issues with. So Chair, that is the bylaw.
Thank you very much. Any questions from council or committee? Yes, Peter.
Thank you, Chair. A comment and a question. I really like this. I think it clears up some of the unknown or misknown that is in our community, and I think it's helpful for the corporation going forward, and the public, and then also serves as a nice baseline document should there be any changes. Having said that, real quick question, and I should have thought of this yesterday. When you say linear park, is that a designation under zoning across all the municipalities, or is that an informal designation that we're using?
Jason?
I see my director is unmuted and unscreened, so I'll defer to my director. Thank you, Chair.
Oh, Jason, you could have done this
Thanks,
too.
Craig.
Chair, through you to council. So we designate this a linear park. It's about spheres of jurisdiction. So the County of Renfrew has the right to regulate parks and recreation facilities, as it were. So when we went back a few years to start talking about regulation, linear park was the nomenclature that was used by other municipalities, and we adopted that as part of our ability to regulate properties, especially in other municipalities that include the city of Pembroke. And that's was done on purpose, quite honestly, and the ability to regulate that. So linear park was the best we could come up with. It's not a road. There's no such thing as a trail necessarily in some of the wording. So again, linear park takes into account all the lands as well that are the fringe of the trail. I know yesterday in the committee, you talked about all the bigger pieces of land that we're not regulating, but it talks about the fringes of the trail within the 100 feet is more than a trail. So we could, when we talk about benches and visitor centers and everything else that we're talking about in the future, this contributes to that being a park, if you will. We could have easily called it a road, but then it would have got into a whole different sphere, if you will, on regulation and the determination of what is a road.
Thank you very much, Peter.
Thank you. Just to clarify it for me. So we don't need any kind of zoning to support this. It's a concept because it's enshrined in our bylaw, then it allows us to be able to regulate it. Because I'm only asking that because if Councillor Hunt was sitting here, he'd probably be throwing stuff at me because I left him a Cracker Jack box full of really neat things when I left Greater Madawaska. One of them was designating an abandoned rail line as a trail and trying to hammer some kind of a designation together and it's like a box of Cracker Jacks for him. Every time he reaches in, he gets something different out of it. So I don't want us to do that to somebody else in the future.
Thank you, Craig.
Yeah, so every municipality is slightly different in their zoning bylaw, but parks or a linear park would likely come under parks and open space zoning in most municipalities, including the city of Pembroke, where we are not, let's say, a partner in, or not governed by the same official plan. So that's part of the determination why we call it a park. And it's some rail lines, as they've been abandoned in other parts, have just become industrial and zoning. So we've monitored this as zoning bylaws get updated and mapping gets updated along the route to ensure that the trail becomes open space zoning or parkland zoning as appropriated to their own zoning bylaws. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any further questions, Jed, please?
Thank you, Chair, through you to Craig or Jason. It was actually on item number 8, the curfews and time of use. I like what you've written in there with regards to the timelines. The timelines, I think 7 a.m. would be great for the built up areas where you wouldn't want, per se, motorized vehicles going through at an unreasonable time. But I think in the more rural areas, people like to get out at 5 in the morning to go on their little fishing trip. And so I could see where maybe possibly local bylaw would be more appropriate for that area. So if I'm reading it right, I think the flexibility is good to be there. But if there's no municipal bylaw to change that, then 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. sounds very good to me. Thanks.
Thank you. Any further questions? Peter, please. That's okay.
Sorry, Craig and Jason gave a nice compact explanation on Schedule A, the fines and setting up that process, and that might be helpful for committee.
Thank you.
Well, I'll leave that one to Jason.
Okay.
Now, sorry, was that a request, Councillor, to explain the process, or?
Yeah, very quick. If you don't mind, please, just quickly. And then I think because this is broadcasted, also helps with the public.
So there is a process to set fines, and that's why I mentioned I'm working with the POA manager, Ashley Wilton, with this. And they actually have a handbook to help people like myself to work through the process. And so my understanding of the process is that we have to, as county council, eventually to approve the bylaw, approve the set fines. Then this will be sent through a letter from our CAO, sent to the Regional Senior Justice of the Peace to review those set fines. And at their discretion, they'll review the values, the amounts we set to make sure it's consistent through the province. And then they may make changes. So that's why we're leaving it up to them, or there is a bit of a gap in this process. And then we receive that information back from the Regional Senior Justice of the Peace, then to incorporate our final amounts. So Chair, hopefully that synopsis is enough. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions? Seeing none, we've heard the recommendation. I'm therefore going to request a mover and a seconder, please. Dan and Jed, any further discussion or concerns? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you very much. Thank you, Jason. And I think I just have to come back, to item number 3, which was the Infrastructure Canada Active Transportation Fund. And I just to ask if there's any further comments or anything on that. Good. Seeing none. Thank you very much, Jason, for your report. And we will move on now to Real Estate Division report. And Kevin, please.
Well, thank you, Chair, and through you to the committee. Good afternoon. The real estate report is found on page 43. Information item number 1 is the real estate 2022 capital budget. And in the attached appendix is basically, it's just a snapshot of the proposed 2022 projects. And we have about over $800,000 worth of projects to conduct this year. So it's going to be an extremely busy year again. So Chair, if you want me to stop there or continue on the resolution.
Yeah, thank you very much, Kevin. I think I will stop there, and I'll just ask if there is any comments on item number 1 on the real estate 2022 capital and capital under threshold projects. Any discussion? Seeing, and then we will proceed then, Kevin, to item number 2, please.
Okay, thank you, Chair. Under resolutions, item number 2 for the reconciliation garden. The recommendation that the Development and Property Committee direct staff to engage with William Sons, Petawawa, Ontario, on their proposal for the construction of a reconciliation garden at the County Administration Building to determine a revised scope and budget. And further, that the revised proposal and budget be presented to committee and county council for consideration. And I'll just go into the background on that, Chair.
Thank you.
On June 30th, the council passed a resolution directing the staff to investigate the options to design and initiate a reconciliation garden project on the grounds at the County Administration Building. And of course, it's an important project as we want to continue to enhance our relationships with First Nations. The RFP was issued in December of 2021 with 2 proposals submitted. The deadline was December the 16th, and there was only one proposal that met the requirements of the RFP. During the budget deliberations, there was $150,000 that was approved for this project, and the proposal submitted by Williams and Sons did, sorry, I'm just scrolling down here, did meet the requirements of the RFP. Unfortunately, the scope was beyond the budget. On March 1st, the selection committee, we met to discuss the proposal and determine the next steps. And the proposal did meet the original concept, but the committee felt that a slight revision of the scope of the project to be kept, and the intent of the proposal while we could possibly reduce the budget. So the committee is recommending that a meeting with the proponent that includes a member of the Algonquin community to discuss the concept and negotiate the scope and budget in order to, and then we would bring back a revised proposal for final approval. Chair, would you like me to continue or stop there?
No, I think we'll stop there. Thank you, Ken. Any questions on the reconciliation garden? Seeing none, then I will ask for a mover and a seconder for the Oh, Jed, is that a question or are you moving?
It could be both. It's a question.
Okay.
I was just wondering, through you, Kathy, just wondering, what was there a large gap between the two, between the what was proposed and what was planned, as cost-wise?
Kevin?
Through you, Chair, to the councillor. Thank you for that question. I may have to ask Mr. Kelly to validate that, but it was essentially it was just the one proponent that met the requirements, and we just felt that the other proponent they obviously just didn't meet the requirements. But I'll ask Mr. Kelly maybe to validate the cost difference.
Thank you, Craig.
Thank you, Chair. To the councillor, that was part of the error in the other submission, was there was not a cost included in that submission. So it was a concept was there, but the pricing and or the timeline just wasn't included in that proposal.
Thank you. Any further questions? Okay, seeing none, then we heard the recommendation, and I'm therefore going to request a mover and a seconder, please, for the resolution. Moved by Jed, seconded by Warden Robinson. Any further discussion or concerns? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? That is carried. Thank you very much. Thank you, Kevin. So moving on to item number 3, please.
Thank you, Chair. And item number 3, the design build of an affordable multi-residential housing unit. We have a recommendation that the Development and Property Committee recommend to County Council, after discussion and recommendation by the Community Services Committee, that staff be directed to negotiate the proposal submitted by Williams Sons, Petawawa, Ontario for the RFP 2022-01 design build of an affordable multi-residential housing project. And further that, a final proposal that includes a revised budget and contract be brought to County Council for final approval. And I'll just go into the background on that, Chair.
Thank you.
The Community Service and Development and Property Committee, so on December the 13th, we're directed to issue a request for proposal for the construction of at least 6 new affordable and supportive housing units in the city of Pembroke, which would be located at the intersection of Douglas and Lee Street. The RFP was issued on December the 20th, 2021, and the deadline for the proposal was February 25th. 2 complete proposals were received, one from Butcom Construction and the second from Williams and Sons. On March 1st, the selection committee, we met to discuss the proposals and we shared our independent scoring. The committee determined that Williams and Sons fit the scope of the project. Unfortunately, it was over budget, and so the staff we're recommending that a meeting be held with the proponent to discuss a revision of the scope and review the budget, determine how we can achieve some efficiencies. And of course, a business plan would be developed in the event that we require additional funds. And the results of that meeting and negotiation will be brought back to the County Council for consideration and direction. And I'll just stop there, Chair.
Yes, thank you very much. Any questions? Craig, please.
Thank you, Chair. And I realize there is a recommendation outstanding. I was going to assist the committee a little bit, and Kevin's report was well done, obviously, by sharing the concept before perhaps moving forward with the recommendation, if that helps a little bit. With your indulgence, I can do that, and I'll wait for your recommendation whether I do or not.
Thank you.
Okay, I will share that.
Okay.
So, stick to that. Oh, that's not really working properly. I'll just go like this, screen to screen. So this was the proposal that was presented by Williams Sons in partnership with Bell Architecture, or Bell and Associates Architecture. So this is the concept being proposed for the 6 units plus 1 additional unit, 7 units in total, at Lee and Douglas Street. So you'll see, in keeping with the neighborhood, they've made it look like quite new and attractive housing, all 1 floor, slab on grade, and really nice looking. So the layout, if I slip to the next one, is 7 units, the 6 planned ones, and there was 1 additional one that was in the mix for supportive uses, and that would be the 7th unit as defined by the funding formulas that we're looking to engage with. I'm sorry, I can't, I'll try to blow that up a little bit for you. Again, these are all about 720 square feet. They address a lot of mobility issues that people that will be living in these units are proposed to have, or that are being proposed that they may have, including a living room, dining room, kitchen, 2 bedrooms, and of course, a singular bathroom and closet. So again, this was the proposal, what we had asked for them to come back with. So this is, if you will, a standard stick frame construction concept. The other concept that was received, again, it should be noted, both concepts were very good. They were very close in pricing and both met the requirements, and the scoring was very tight. The other one was more of a modular style, and the selection committee chose this design over the other one for a number of factors. But again, the scoring was close, and definitely want to thank both proponents for submitting those proposals to the scoring or the selection committee for recommendation moving forward. But again, this is the one being brought to you today as per Kevin's recommendation. I'll stop sharing the screen. Thank you, Chair.
Great. Thank you very much, Craig. Any further questions? Peter.
Thank you. I really like the look of this, and I would also suggest to you that it makes sense that once this model and unit is perfected, it's something to be imported to other areas, because a 6 unit pod could be utilized on, or could be placed on rural land where there is well and septic. And so I think this model allows us to maybe escape the urban footprint of providing affordable, accessible housing in the future. And then the 1 unit, the attached unit, it also allows, I would think, should you move to that kind of a model, then it allows for visiting services to come in and see the tenants, first of all, and then secondly, the surrounding community. So it could become a bit of a service hub. But thank you. I really like this, and I'm glad to see it going forward.
Thank you. Any further questions? Jed, please.
Thank you for the update on that. I do think it looks very nice, very attractive. I think it'll sit quite nicely in that particular location. And I'm just wondering what I have to do in order to move in. Thank you.
Thank you. Warden Robinson, please.
Thank you very much, Chair. I'm very excited about this project. We need housing so badly, and this is going to be affordable housing, located in the county. As Councillor Emo says, this could be duplicated elsewhere as well. Hopefully we can bring the cost down a bit. I kind of, was hoping for the 6 units. Then when I saw the 7th unit, of course, I'm there. Oh, we got 7 2-bedroom apartments instead of 6. I get the supportive housing concept, but I'm kind of hoping we have some wiggle room. So Director Kelly is probably just thinking, please stop talking now. It's great, and I think that especially when I listen to Director Kelly, and I don't know how many of you know that he is just full of ideas, worse than I am, and definitely worse than Reeve Emo. So, I totally believe that we're on the verge here of some real great innovation in the county of Renfrew as far as housing is concerned. And I think this is just going to be the first step. So just my comments. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any further questions? Seeing none, and we did hear the recommendation from Kevin. So I will be looking for a mover and a seconder, please, for the recommendation. Peter and Warden Robinson, please. Any further discussion or comments? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? That is carried. Thank you very much. And that completes the real estate division. Thank you very much for that, Kevin. So we'll be moving on to the planning division. And Bruce, please.
Thank you, Chair. The planning report can be found on page 47 of your package. There should be relatively short today. We have three items for information. The first one is a common theme for today about housing. So that appendix plan 1 is a letter from the Eastern Ontario Women's Caucus providing a response to the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing regarding the Rural Housing Affordability Roundtable. Ontario does have a critical need when it comes to affordable and community housing. And to address this need, the Ontario Housing Affordable Task Force has compiled a list of over 50 recommendations, many of which of those appear to be geared towards the Greater Toronto Area or high growth areas. The ministry was requesting insight on how the development process timelines could be improved and what processes appear to be holding up development approvals. Based on a review of vacant lots in the county, at the current growth rate, it's estimated that it would take over 20 years just to develop the existing approved lots within the county. So it would appear that the process to approve new lots is not the limiting factor when considering housing availability within Renfrew County. For the county, limiting factors would appear to be more attributable to market conditions, unwilling sellers of vacant buildable lots, or perhaps the lack of tradespeople. Item number 2 is an update on the Land Division Committee. The Land Division Committee met for the first time this year on February the 24th, and the committee considered 7 applications that we approved 7 applications, and 2 applications were deferred to a future date. And the third and last item is information about the White Lake Road Official Plan Amendment. This was an official plan amendment that was adopted by the Town of Arnprior to amend the Town of Arnprior official plan. The redesignation was to change a piece of property from a commercial and employment designation to a low medium density residential area that would facilitate the establishment of a new planned subdivision. The County of Renfrew received an appeal to that amendment from a private resident, and county staff have prepared the prescribed appeal package and have sent it off to the Ontario Land Tribunal for their consideration. Thank you, Chair. That's the Planning Division report.
Thank you very much, Bruce. Okay, moving back to item number 1, the Rural Housing Affordability Roundtable. Warden Robinson, please.
Thank you very much, Chair. So if you recall, during the last kind of council meeting in my warden's address, I spoke about having the opportunity to respond to Minister Clark concerning his Rural Housing Affordability Roundtable. And I did comment about the report that had been provided with staff. So I again want to reiterate today to Bruce and his staff, that report was just absolutely way more than I expected. It was so well done, so thorough. Definitely made me and the County of Renfrew look good when I had to make the presentation. And, being able to respond, first of all, as the County of Renfrew, and then secondly, as the chair of the OWC with that report in hand was just a pleasure to do. So again, I just want to publicly thank Bruce and his staff. Excellent information going forward for us.
Thank you very much, Warden. Anything else on item number 1? Peter, please.
Thank you. This is great information, Bruce, to you, and just to echo what the warden has said. Could I ask you to drill down a little bit for us into the first paragraph on page 52, where you talk about 2,500 residential unit lots? and then the other numbers, 4,800 and 6,200. So the 2,500, am I safe in assuming those are spread across the communities? They're not all subdivision lots in urban centers. They're actually residential lots as well, or sorry, rural lots as well.
Bruce?
Thank you, Chairs, and to the councillor. So yes, we tried to use the GIS. Jason and Angie did a great job. So I'll give them all the credit for being able to pull this information. It is based off of municipal assessment data information. So they looked at all of the vacant land codes that we have for various properties within the county. And it does apply to both in the urban areas and the rural areas. So first we looked at properties that were greater than a quarter acre, 0.25 acres to 5 acres, excited to get an idea of how many parcels we have around that size. And then we looked at how many parcels are greater than 5 acres. And then we added to that the number of draft approved lots in plans of subdivision that are throughout the county. So it does, and then I believe as appendix plan 2, it's attached to your committee package, it does break down those lots into a little bit more detail by municipality of where, and there's also a map that Angie prepared showing those locations, but at that scale, and I realize it's not some of the information, you might not be able to derive all the information that you need from that map, but it is pretty good, decent information on a whole. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. Anything else on item 1? Item number 2, the land of it. Oh, I'm sorry, Peter, please.
Thank you. And the comment, and I've managed to darken my screen right as I was trying to flip to it. I think the comment about dealing with some of the energy providers and gas providers, that's a comment I've been making only based on conversations with people who are trying to develop lots. So I was glad to see that it wasn't just a Peter gut reaction. There was actual foundation for that. So that's helpful. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Anything item number 2? Very good. Moving on then to item number 3, the White Lake Road Official Plan Amendment. Dan, please.
Thank you, Chair. Through Chair to Bruce, I didn't know we had a private resident have appeal, but I didn't hear that at the town. Are you allowed to say what the appeal was for?
Through you, Chair, to the councillor, I believe I can provide a general overview. The appeal was to concerns about the appropriateness of putting a residential plan subdivision in that location, and especially given the location of this particular property to Highway 417 and as a ideal location for commercial uses where the main basis is for the appeal that was submitted.
Thank you. Anything else on item number 3? Very good. Thank you very much, Bruce. Appreciate that. Okay, so that completes our reports this afternoon. And Craig, please. And you're on mute.
Darn it, someone had to do it. Thank you. So my error, just for the sake of committee's clarification, when I mistyped, I guess, or when I was doing the report and working with Kevin on item number 2 of his report, the reconciliation garden, in the background, doesn't affect the recommendation going forward, but in the background, it was stated $150,000 was set aside for the budget. I had to review very quickly the budget. It is actually $100,000 was set aside for the reconciliation garden from budget deliberations, not 150. So if, with the indulgence, I will ask Evelyn to correct that background information for the minutes as it moves along to County Council.
Thank you very much. Perfect. Okay. All right, moving forward then, we are on to item number 8, and that is new business. Do we have any new business at this time? None at this time. Okay, we do have a closed.
Sorry.
Sorry.
We need to have a mover and a second to approve the report as a whole, please.
Yes, you do. Thank you very much for that. Could I have a mover and a seconder, please? For the report as a whole, Peter and Sheldon, thank you very much. All those in favor? That is carried. Thank you very much. Now we do have a closed meeting this afternoon. We do have to address the minutes of the January the 11th meeting. We do need a mover and a seconder.
Sorry.
Do I do those after, Evelyn?
Yes, please. Thank you. So we'll first need to go into closed.
Okay, gotcha. See, this is a rookie in training. We're good. We're good. Okay, thanks for that, Evelyn. So we are going to go into a closed session to discuss information explicitly supplied in covenants to the municipality or local board by Canada, a province or territory, or a crown agency of any of them, and B, a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board. So I will need a mover and a seconder, please, to go into closed. Jed and Peter, thank you. And we'll just ask. Okay, thank you very much. And we are back now out of our closed session. We did have one recommendation that came out of our closed session. So I will turn this back over to Alistair, please, or Craig, or Alistair. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Chair. Yes, so I will in open then go through this this item under bylaws, item 1 about funding program, the Rural Economic Development Program, RED. We've received approval for a funding program from OMAFRA, and we must sign before March 30th, before March 31st, a memorandum of understanding. The background is that we were successful in an application to, and sorry, Chair, am I and CAO Paul, am I on track here with sort of going quickly through it again as we are in open?
Just stick to the recommendation now.
Yeah, so here's the recommendation. That the Development and Property Committee recommend that County Council pass a bylaw to execute an agreement with the Ministry of Agriculture, Food and Rural Affairs for funding in the amount of $10,250 through the Rural Economic Development, the RED program, for an attraction and investment plan film production. And further, the funds up to $10,250 be taken from the Economic Development Marketing Program over 2 years to 2022 and 2023 as part of the county's 50% contribution to the project. Chair, that's the recommendation.
Thank you very much. Could I have a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Peter, seconded by Jed. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you very much. Okay, so moving along, item number 10 is the date of our next meeting, which is Tuesday, April the 12th. And I guess I'm just looking for a mover and a seconder for adjournment, please. Moved by Sheldon, seconded by Dan. Nobody wanted to leave, see? All those in favor? That is carried. Thank you very much.